Hey, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Chan, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. The Brazilian Securities and Exchange Commission, CVM, announced and approved the ability for investment funds to hold crypto assets since the 23rd of December. The decision, according to the regulator, allows funds to operate in the crypto space while paying attention to controls related to asset integrity and ownership. If you are not paying attention to this gigantic trend that we have been seeing over the course of the entirety of 2022, Brazil is rapidly positioning itself as one of the top three major players for cryptocurrency in the world. There's almost no questioning it at this point. We began to get a lot of news last year, it's 2022, that a large number of banks were getting into crypto within Brazil, but they needed some type of regulatory approval. We began to get news about the amount of Brazilians who were actively investing in things that were basically crypto, things outside of the traditional financial sphere. And then we started getting news around summertime of the amount of cities within Brazil who were actively buying Bitcoin. You can find that news as well online if you are looking for it, as far as they want to hold a portion of their city's treasury fund in Bitcoin. I think there are 3 cities who are doing it, and I think they've allocated anywhere between 0.5% and 1% of their money to Bitcoin. It's millions and millions of dollars that they are also accumulating all the time. And this one now is allowing for funds to be able to hold cryptocurrencies as well. I think I said before, and I'll say it again, the countries who really grab the idea of crypto, who give positive, easy to understand, and great information, regulation, and also even just like tax information. I know that sounds ridiculous, but the easier you make it for people, like there's so many places that have announced recently, hey, your crypto taxes are 0%. You pay nothing on it. Hey, your crypto taxes are 12%. There was another country who just said 26%. It goes a very long way when you talk about actual adoption. You just need to give proper information, and people will most certainly begin to follow. According to the CVM, crypto assets must meet a set of criteria established by a new regulatory framework established in a law enacted by outgoing President Bolsonaro so that they can be included in fund portfolios. The CVM only recently released a new regulatory framework for investment funds. The regulator explained in a note that the decision seeks to allow funds to operate in this new segment of markets while maintaining control over its presence, integrity, and ownership of assets. I always wonder exactly how deep or how far these things go. Like when you hear that there's a country who's actively making sure that their cryptocurrency laws and regulations are highly favorable to investors or people who are trying to make money or put money into the market so that they themselves can have a growing cryptocurrency asset class within their countries. I mean, as far as like, what are the discussions that are happening behind the scenes? How many members of parliament are holding on to cryptocurrencies? How much cryptocurrencies do they have in their Congress? Do you only assume that these laws are being created as a way to like make it easier for the common man to be able to invest in crypto? Or do you think that the millionaires and billionaires behind the scenes are also rapidly accumulating as well and trying to position themselves at the forefront of everything when it comes to crypto? It's always very, very fascinating because it's never ever, here's the actual original article from Info Money about the happenings in Brazil. But once again, always think a step further. This is never done. This is never, ever done for the sake of the public. It's done for the rich people behind the scenes who are who know what's going on. Basically, it's a nice way to say it. So yeah, we will probably be getting a lot more Brazilian cryptocurrency news as time goes on. I don't know what their taxing situation is over there, but I'm sure there are tons of loopholes like there are in many other places, especially when it comes to crypto. So in 10 to 15 years, if this entire experiment has worked out, Brazil is probably going to be one of the like richest countries on the planet especially even their cities there. Yeah. Let's move on. Also in news, Terra Classic Validator, Classy Cryptosphere, has burned nearly 13 million Terra Luna Classic tokens in a single transaction. The total number of Luna Classic tokens burned by the community has now reached 36 billion coins. Every day, depending on where you look, Terra Luna Classic and Shiba Inu, not even Dogecoin anymore, Shiba Inu make the news constantly. And it usually has to do with either validator news, upgrade, update news, or what's the other one? Burning the coins. How could I have forgotten? We've had a lot of really weird news from Terra Luna Classic and Shiba Inu. They're like music studios who are burning coins, and they're like all these like individuals who are burning hundreds of millions of coins at one time on certain days. The larger burn news tends to be once a weekly, as far as like, oh, this week someone burned X amount of millions of coins in one given transaction. Terra Luna Classic and Shiba Inu, while both coins that many people originally did not take seriously because of whatever the circumstances might have been, are now two of maybe the two front runners of the top contenders of coins that didn't look like they were gonna make it, but now they're trying to burn as many coins from these projects as possible to actually go up in price in the future during the next bull run. It's a very long phrase, but that's basically what it comes down to. The people from Terra Luna and from Shiba Inu, I believe, are trying to burn hundreds of billions of coins in order so that the price of the coin not only rises, but rises exponentially during the next bull market, as this is the burning that's happening when prices are low and the cryptocurrency market is low and the interest is also low. So just imagine if we have a 30x in interest, how many coins would be burned per day? That's the Terra Luna Classic. Classy crypto, has burned millions of tokens by themselves in one day. So keep up the good Luna work. I don't know. All right. Let's move on. Also in news, Valkyrie has unveiled a new proposal for the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. In one of its recent blog posts, the announcement comes amidst the light of recent events associated with Grayscale and its affiliated firms. The blog post stresses various proposals to improve the current management of the GBTC. For those of you who don't know, I know I say that a lot, but I have to repeat it because sometimes I've said stuff and I check the comment section and people were like, I wish he had explained that. So I make sure that you are constantly bombarded with tons of information so that you are never not in the know. Grayscale is a gigantic company whose main thing is buying Bitcoin. They kind of shifted into buying cryptocurrencies, but mainly everyone knows they are Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, as it is the largest. They've been trying for about 2 years to actually transform their GBTC fund into a Bitcoin ETF within the United States. The Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is basically, in everything but letters, a Bitcoin ETF for institutions. However, they have not been able to transition their fund from GBTC to GBTC ETF, just adding extra letters. And as such, for some reason, their fund has a gigantic discount, which we went over at the end of last year, wherein I think it has nearly a 50% discount for their fund, so that if Bitcoin's current price right now is 16,000, Bitcoin with Grayscale for some reason only costs 8,000. And a lot of the people who have their money in the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust apparently aren't too happy that the money that they're holding is worth half of what a normal Bitcoin would be. I have said thousands of times, this is just from my perspective, if you want to hold something, you should buy it. The idea would simply be like, imagine you really want to get into real estate. Like, you really want to get into real estate. But someone's like, hey, bro, don't even worry about buying a house. You can buy a piece of house paper through my fund. So you basically would spend $200,000-$400,000 for a piece of paper that says that you own a house, even though you don't actually own the house. It's the company who is Grayscale in this case would actually be owning the house. So at some point, if there was a discount on the piece of paper that you're holding that says 200,000, well, guess what? You lost tons of money because you should have just bought and held the actual house, which still has its value. That's kind of what it comes down to. So a lot of institutions over the last couple of years are selling paper Bitcoin or not really real Bitcoin. The company itself holds Bitcoin, but they give a paper representation of the asset to their clients. And now the clients aren't too happy because they should have just purchased Bitcoin themselves in the beginning. Imagine you want to go buy gold and silver and someone's like, no, whoa. Here's a piece of paper that says gold on it. It's basically the same thing. It doesn't make any sense, but this is how rich people work, and this is, I guess, how they keep on losing money. Valkyrie highlighted the 3 proposals to improve the current BTC management. The first one includes the facilitation of orderly redemptions at net asset value. This is for all investors who want it through a timely Regulation M filing. Sure, why not? Through this proposal, investors would be able to redeem their shares at a fair price. That's weird. I wonder why they're talking about that. Oh, because of the discount. The second proposal will focus on lowering the fees to a more equitable level. According to the proposal, there would be a 0.75% fee, which is comparatively less than the 2% that they currently have right now. This is also a very big thing. If you've ever been into stocks and bonds, and especially mutual funds, a lot of times the funds themselves will have a fee. They are actively managed by someone. And a lot of times, like if you look at the really good, the best top funds, they'll have a fee of, 0.5%. As opposed to 6%, which other funds have, and they also end up performing even worse with the 6%. So I assume Grayscale's lowering their 2% fee to 0.75 as a way to entice people further into their whatever they're trying to do. It's very weird. I feel like this is also part of something. I'm sorry to be so tinfoil hatty all the time, but this is a market where people are talking about making trillions of dollars. This isn't your grandpa making $1 million. These companies are trying to actively make hundreds of billions of dollars, and it's expected that the first trillionaire will actually come from the cryptocurrency space. It's a widely held belief that that's what's going to end up happening. So the fact that think of it this way, the only thing that currently looks like a Bitcoin ETF within the United States has a dash of sabotage floating around it, where the value of their fund is actually cut in half. Do you think that would have happened if there had been someone like Fidelity or BlackRock having a Bitcoin ETF? Do you think at any point their ETF price of Bitcoin would have been a 50% discount? I feel like something is happening behind the scenes. I feel like this is definitely some kind of ruination, if you will, trying to make sure that they flushed out all the other major players before a Bitcoin ETF actually gets approved by the SEC for a gigantic company. I don't know. It's stuff in this space is never cut and dry. It always feels a bit shadier than I think it should actually feel. That's Valkyrie is announcing proposals to get more people to buy from the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, but I kind of think they're over. Unless by summertime, if Bitcoin's not back above $30,000, and people are like, oh, I got to buy some discounted Grayscale Bitcoin. I think that's kind of it for Grayscale. Just this is my personal opinion. I'm not I don't know all the ins and outs of economics, but the fact that there's so much energy around Grayscale and how well their fund is not doing, can only imagine. That's the Valkyrie Grayscale Improvement Opportunistic Fund. News is, let's move on. Also in the news, where is it? Web3 money app Wirex, that is Wire and then the letter X, has expanded support for Shiba Inu and XRP, as both assets are now listed on its new dual asset investment tool called Duo. Yep, the fund is called Duo. Duo allows users to earn enhanced interest, on investments. The Duos consist of 2 assets, a base and a paired asset. that can be traded with each other on an exchange. This is opened with a base asset whose price is expected to depreciate against the price of the paired asset. Okay, it's getting kind of weird. In March of 2022, Wirex expanded its ecosystem to enable its 5 million users to accept Shiba Inu, thus allowing them to receive, send, store, and exchange SHIB across its app, wallet, and payment platforms. XRP's initial support came far earlier. Remember that, 2018. Wow, yeah, 2018. Which allows users to buy, sell, exchange, and deposit XRP using the Wirex app. So they now have a new investment thing on Wirex, not affiliated in any way, in case anyone was wondering. Sure, I don't think there are any numbers anywhere around here that say exactly what the dual investment thing is actually for, as opposed to just making you money. I'm always a bit wary whenever, if you have staking and someone's like, oh, but we have enhanced staking. I'm like, okay. And then someone goes, well, we have ultra mega enhanced. You can't. The idea is that a lot of these new investment tools and funds, I don't know exactly how they work, obviously, but what have you. But I can tell you over the course of the last 2.5 years, the amount of new funds and new things that are dropping to give people extra investment money back profit from what they would have normally gotten from simply doing stuff on chain. I'm always a bit wary of it because a lot of times they're not offering the normal like 5 or 6% that you would be getting from doing stuff on chain, but they're now offering like 18% and 33%. That's why so many of those DeFi platforms ended up collapsing, because they offered money that they didn't have to people. But you get more people, basically a lot of the, okay. Anyway, that's Shiba Inu and XRP are on Wirex's dual asset investment tool. That's crazy. Wow. Let's see if people actually use it. That's always the biggest thing for me. You can drop it, but will people use it? All right. Let's move on. Also in what? That's crazy. Both versions of Defrost Finance, yep, you heard that correctly, a decentralized leverage trading platform built on Avalanche, has been reported to have been hacked. We've never heard anything like this before. That's crazy. This was announced after investors reported losing their staked Defrost Finance Melt tokens and Avalanche in their MetaMask wallets. Doran, a key member of Defrost Finance, revealed that Defrost version 2 had been attacked by a flash loan attack shortly after a few users reported an odd loss of funds. Furthermore, Defrost version 2 was shut down since it was first thought that Defrost version 1 was not affected by the attack. Okay. Moreover, the platform at the time thought that Defrost version 1 was safe from the hack, so it shut down version 2 while it looked into it. Peck Shield, okay, a block form investigation firm. Peck Shield? That's the best you came up with? Peck Shield, okay. A blockchain investigation firm determined that the hacker manipulated LSWUSDC, okay, price for a profit, making $173,000. Although the corporation made an announcement about the breach, many in the community believe it was a rug pull scheme. What? That never happens here. Due to the fact that Defrost version 1 did not have a flash loan feature, it was first reported that it was immune to the hack. However, the platform eventually recognized a version 1 emergency as well. Investors should refrain from using Defrost Finance until further notice, or just don't use DeFi at all. Is anyone out there still using DeFi? I'm going to assume you haven't seen my last 90 videos. For those of you who someone just shook their head and said, yeah, these things are like happening every single day. I don't know how anyone could be using or still is using anything that claims to be DeFi at all. The amount of hacks, the amount of flash loan the amount of, taking advantage and scams on these things are out of this world. If you missed my ranting a couple of weeks ago where I was telling everyone, doesn't it seem a little weird that all the DeFi platforms, decentralized Web3 platforms where you're not supposed to have any contact with anything from the traditional financial world because they're going to take your data, how they're all merging and being in partnerships with Visa and MasterCard and PayPal? Is this not scaring anyone that everyone keeps losing their money from these platforms? And now the larger corporations want your information and all your transaction data from having used these platforms. This isn't scaring anyone. People out there are still using DeFi platforms after the 38 hacks that we had last year. I think it was near 40 to 50. Anyway, that's crazy. Defrost Finance. I'm certain that's the only time that's going to happen this year. I'm almost certain of it, because why would people still keep using these platforms after everything keeps going wrong over and over and over and over and over and over? Oh, well, only one a year. Sounds swell to me. That's the Defrost version 2 was allegedly attacked by a flash loan, and get ready, because it'll happen again next week. There's always another exchange or DeFi something. So hope your money's safe. All right. Let's move on. Really? Okay. Sitiveni Rabuka, a pro-Bitcoin advocate and apparently the new prime minister of the islands of Fiji, apparently hasn't announced or talked about legislation making Bitcoin legal tender within the country. Although Rabuka has remained tight-lipped about his thoughts on Bitcoin, Lord Fusitua, a respected former member of parliament from Tonga, has allegedly verified that the Fiji politician is, in fact, a huge supporter of crypto. Lord Fusituas took to Twitter to announce the news from their neighboring nation. He stated that he had meticulously explained to Rabuka how Fiji could adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, just like Tonga. He projected 2 legal tender bills for the Pacific would be proposed in 2023. Lord Fusitua explained to Cointelegraph in Twitter messages that the new prime minister is indeed pro-Bitcoin. He said last year he requested a meeting with me via Zoom to be guided through the process of adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. Okay, that's kind of on the nose. With my help, he was able to understand and implement the necessary steps. By February of this year, Tonga's timeline to introduce Bitcoin as a legal tender could become a reality. Similarly to Tonga, Fiji faces developmental and economic risks stemming from its geopolitical location and history. However, due to the population of nearly 1 million people, it is almost 9 times bigger than that of Tonga. Tonga only has 90,000 people. Jeez Louise. So, yeah, as it stands right now, the news floating around is that Fiji is allegedly, maybe in February, going to announce that they are on the train, the steps, moving forward to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. We did hear last year from the president of El Salvador that there were going to be 3 countries who were going to be adopting Bitcoin as legal tender last year. I think we heard of 1.5, maybe 2 countries. I think one that did it and another one who was like, we're on the way to doing so. I assume the third one maybe got spooked because prices continued falling for such a long amount of time. I wonder how many other countries are also announcing that they're, or even thinking behind the scenes that they would make Bitcoin as legal tender. Hear me out here. I wonder what the number is to make Bitcoin's price rise and or more stable with news like this. So how when I was talking about the Lightning Network years ago, the idea was that eventually the Lightning Network would be able to do 1 million transactions per second. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But when? As far as how much Bitcoin do we need locked in the Lightning Network to give us a capacity of over 1 million transactions per second for Bitcoin? The amount of countries who are adopting Bitcoin in mass is we're getting a good handful every single year of those who are announcing or who are doing it, but they seem to be smaller nations. So not a country with 300 million people or 3 million people or 8 million people, what have you. It's 1 million or 1.4 million. But I don't think that Fiji and El Salvador and the Central African Republic and yada, yada, yada are the only places of thinking of doing this. So do we need like 20 countries, 20 smaller countries to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender for people to then understand? Like what's the threshold? Because I assumed years ago, when this was 2 years ago, when we had 2 or 3 countries who were like, we are adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. I was like, okay, here we go. This is it. Bitcoin's, going to brand new $100,000 all-time highs. But the price didn't move because I assumed people didn't understand the significance of the situation that was happening. Then when we had news that there were multiple countries who are under US sanctions, they told us they are using Bitcoin to trade and send money and stuff around the world. They're also actively mining Bitcoin. I was like, okay, this is it. Here we go. Bitcoin's definitely going to 129.48 billion thousand because, now we have not only countries adopting it, but also using it as an actual payment method. But Bitcoin's price went nowhere in 2022. So every time we get news like this, that a country is planning on doing X with Bitcoin, the same exact thing with Brazil, I am stupidly, I guess, just assuming that the world is going to take notice. Will Bitcoin's price not move until the US does something? Has everyone forgotten about the other 193 countries that are also on the planet who are actively adopting crypto? The 8 countries who have about 25 different physical Bitcoin ETFs. What does it take to move the market if not this? If we had heard this news years ago, Bitcoin would be, in the stratosphere. You wouldn't be able to even see it because it would be so high. So anyway, I do wonder. I would love an answer. Do people not, what's the word? The word's not adhere to. Do you not recognize any other place on the planet because it's not America? Or what exactly will get the market moving? At what point will we be like, hey, we have 20 countries out of 194 who are into Bitcoin? Bitcoin has made it. Everyone understand? Like, what does the public need to really make them collectively turn bullish on Bitcoin? If not the year-long of good newses that we keep receiving. So we'll see by February if we get any kind of news from Fiji. It turns out that they always need to do some kind of basically like voting in parliament. It takes about a couple of months, maybe even shorter. Like for El Salvador, it was like weeks. We'll see if the market ever moves off of actual good news. Yeah. Let's move on. Also in the news, the Dogecoin Foundation and its board of directors, they have a board of directors? Okay. Have recently announced the creation of a new developer fund. The foundation has allocated 5 million Doge. I feel like that's like $30. 5 million Doge. Okay. For its fund in order to foster the development of the Dogecoin core platform. The development fund is managed by existing core developers and board director signatories. All payments will be tracked and reported on across all social media platforms used by the foundation during each cycle. I actually like that. The tracking of the transactions, it lets us know that they actually spent the 5 million Doge where it was supposed to go, as opposed to at the end of the year saying, oh my gosh, we only have 50,000 Doge left and no one knows where it went, what development companies actually got it. So this is great for transparency. Payments will be awarded in accordance with a weighed system based on the existing Dogecoin core tip jar program. The fund is secured using a multi-signature wallet protected by 3 out of 5 signatures from custodians selected by the foundation board. It has been announced that 500,000 Doge will be disbursed to contributors credited in each core release for each major or minor update. So cool. This is just another gigantic fund, and I use gigantic lightly. It is still millions of... Is it? Dogecoin is 7 cents. So I've 5 mil... Okay. So in a couple hundred thousands of dollar fund, to help development of the coin. Sure, why not? These kind of happen all the time. They're usually from like outside sources. They kind of get funding or from the community. But I guess the foundation just happens to be rich enough that they can actually allocate this money. Dogecoin is probably in for a very interesting year. The same with many other coins in the market. A lot of people still are waiting for a $1 Dogecoin. We'll see if that ever actually ends up happening, especially sometime this year. Yeah, that's the Dogecoin Foundation has a new fund. News. I think this is also it right here. Yeah, this was quite popular news. Okay, $360,000. That is not the biggest fund, but I'm pretty sure any company would love, an additional 50,000 to help them start doing things, in general. It's a good start. All right, let's move on. Also it's easier just not to lie news. This past Thursday, the Reserve Bank of India Central Bank, got it, published its monthly financial stability report for the month of December. The 172-page report touches on topics like blockchain-based assets, central bank digital currencies, and decentralized finance. The RBI report acknowledges the difficulty of attempting to regulate innovative technologies and business models after they have reached a systemic scale. Since 2017, India has actively lied to the public and to their citizens that they were going to have cryptocurrency regulations. They said the crypto market is far too wild westy, whatever they were saying, and you need some kind of regulations. They said they would do it in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and also over the course of 2022. The idea of it being difficult to regulate these technologies, they should have simply done that before. I find it very odd that a country like India has a very weird history when it comes to what they consider to be money laundering, tax evasion, what have you. And they're actively trying to make the country a more digital place. They keep ignoring cryptocurrencies as if people in their country will just simply, well, the government doesn't do it anymore, so let's not use it ourselves either. If India in 2017 had made a proper push to give cryptocurrency regulations within their country, the only law to date that they've given has been that every crypto transaction has a 1% fee on it, which is just stupid. Like, why would you guys even do that? If they had actually made it so that they said there is a base at the end of the year fee of 5 to 10% of all the money that you've made, give us every transaction from the blockchain wallet that you're using. That's a really convenient, easy way for the government then to be able to track how much money the government is then at the end of the year owed. How many people would have moved to India? Think about it. How many people around the world would have moved to India if they heard that in their own country, their cryptocurrency tax rate was 26, 35, 42%? Instead, it was 5% in India. How much money they could have made. It's probably hundreds of millions, if not low billions of dollars since 2017. But the country still, for some reason, I believe it has to do with the fact that the country is trying to create their own central bank digital currency, but they don't have the infrastructure for it. A lot of countries keep making or announcing that they're launching central bank digital currencies, but they're all going to be different. They're not going to be interoperable with each other, and they're all in this way also going to simply fail. At the same exact time, they do this to make sure that people, if you have no regulations, if you're afraid of touching it, if you can't do anything with it, you're not going to get into the market. So people stay on the sidelines, continue living their own lives. And this is why I think it's very weird as well when we keep getting news that these countries are, at least the news that we've heard, that they're also buying up tons of Bitcoin as well, and their citizens don't have a chance to do so. As per the report, to promote responsible innovation and to mitigate financial stability risks in crypto's ecosystem, it is vital for policymakers to design an appropriate policy approach. Just do it. Just give the exact same regulations that you would for the banks. Give how much people have to be taxed, and basically say, hey, if you are part of a company who plans on making a brand new coin, please work with us for 6 months so that we can look into the coin. We can see if it is going to be considered a commodity or a security. And if it is, you go to the left and work with them. If it's not, you go to the right and basically you just report to us once a year for the next 5 years so we can make sure that your coin isn't harming our citizens. Look at that. I just figured it out. Isn't that completely insane? The Reserve Bank of India also stated that in this light, when India holds the G20 chair, it is on the top goals to create a framework for the worldwide regulation or perhaps ban of unbacked crypto assets, stablecoins, and DeFi, which I think is India's purpose in the just ban it. They're so desperate to try and make it seem like everyone's going to be using their crummy, terrible central bank digital currency, and no one's going to be using it. So cool. I think this is going to fail. I don't think that governments know what they're doing in any aspect of this, or they might even be surprising me, buying up tons of Bitcoin as they give and do not give cryptocurrency regulations to make sure that they're continue to be the richest people and the richest nations on the planet. Wouldn't it have made sense? Think how far back 2017 is. Wouldn't it have made sense at some point over the last 5 to 6 years to give a basic framework for the billion people who live inside of your country? Oh, that's asking too much? Okay, I'm sorry. All right. That's the India. Still doesn't have crypto regulations news. Yeah. Let's move on. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters: Martin Stroyer, Bodie McBoatface, Sam Ratter, Dotha Diddy, Manny, Cryptos, Crypto, Gambino, Auspicious Agile, and Blockchain, Jamie Saad, and let's move on, Empire, Queen, Roman, Gaba, Bitcoin, Ben Arachno, Dave the Dealer, Zen Captain, Something in the Z-Way, Lay, Mobarazi, VB Nerd 21, Lauren De Silva, Quoted Biddy, Troy, Olga, Space Case, Need a Miracle, Pattern, Nostra, Navarro, Williams, Utopia 569, Moonman, High XRP, Nostromo, John Sarson, The Anima, Rita, Bibliophobia, Adam Graysig, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Setsuna, Paxis, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Yes to Crypto, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger, Machanisa, and on Crypto with Lionel. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who left a like, a comment, or has subscribed. Everyone who's been listening to me for 6-7 years. That is absolutely insane. I haven't looked at how many videos I've made in total, but I think it has to be over 2,000 at this point. It's completely insane. It is actually a little nuts. Hope you're all okay. Hope you're all doing fine, well, all that kind of stuff. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.